Right. You gotta tell me if the music's good. Up to my voice. Sorry about the munching, I'm having some crackers. Preemptive mute? What do you mean? Oh, right. You'll hear it in a second. How about now? Probably sound better now. I never know how loud these settings should be. Really? So music's too loud then? No, I'm not sure. Anyway. Oh, as in comparison to how it was before, yeah, I can't change that. I'm pretty sure I'm at maximum volume. Sorry about that. I meant the ratio between my voice now and the music playing in the back. Good news, I found the text files with the questions, so I don't have to go over the videos. I can just start putting the questions directly onto the charts, and maybe one day I'll have them all. Let me see. Organize this in a way or I can keep collecting the questions onto this window. All right, well, welcome to a few more hours of Bulto sifting through questions, then eventually make an actual updated Q&A to the things that are the things that have changed over these last 13 years. Don't even remind me. Let me see. Yes, I believe I found the file, so I think it's in here somewhere. How many demos? So welcome Cal, welcome Pyro, welcome any other lurkers who might be there. To find I've always been scrawny. I might have actual fat malabsorption, like as a thing, as a chronic thing, because I don't eat. I don't stop myself from eating fatty stuff. I don't eat pastries though. That might help. Is that a question? Is that an official AMA question? If I died and became a skeleton, would I put on weight? Maybe from the dirt that accumulates around me. Where is this? Maybe there's a word. There's a word. There it is. No. Really? Straight. I think I'm getting questions from later Q&A. Is it all a mess? Oh my god. I hope, really hope that these questions are all just in disorder. Because otherwise... Oh my god. Past me, what have you done to me? I don't want to go through the videos. This never ends. Maybe I just should. Pyroclasm asks, how long do I expect the completed production of Majora to be, like feature length? You mean feature length? Like what do you think? Are you comparing it to movie lengths? Because no, the estimate used to be 3 hours and a half. I think by now it'll stabilize at 4, which for a large opera is normal. 4 hours of music. So that means if it's 4 hours of music plus the breaks, that's basically a 5-hour evening, because you'd have maybe 2 or 3 20-minute breaks or 15-minute breaks, which is normal for large operas. When you go see Wagner, you expect the entire evening, the entire afternoon, evening. You start at 5. You start at, Liam would know, you start at like 6 and you leave the theater at like 11, or maybe you start at 5 and leave the theater at 10. Hi Nautilus. Olá Nautilus. He speaks Portuguese. Eu também falo português. Portugal. They ask if I had any problem with copyrights stuff because of Nintendo. No, because they don't usually care when you put stuff online on YouTube, but if it's not a game, I mean. But we're not advancing for this on stage without first asking permission. And if they say no, then it just doesn't happen. I'm not sure if you understood me, so I'm gonna say it in Portuguese. Não tive problemas com o copyrights, porque a Nintendo normalmente só quer saber, só se incomoda quando se fazem jogos para competir no mercado deles. Há muita gente a pôr música no YouTube e a Nintendo não quer saber, sobretudo porque são arranjos próprios. Mas o intuito é de pôr, antes de pôr a ópera em palco, é de pedir autorização, porque senão não é possível. Portanto, a autorização é dada. Há 3 hipóteses: ou a autorização é dada e financiamento também é oferecido, ou então é só autorização e temos de obter financiamento por nós próprios, ou é não a tudo e o projeto vai para a gaveta e acabou aí. Mas eu quero acabar o projeto de qualquer maneira. Portanto, back to English. Oh, it's fine, Pyro, don't worry. Yeah, it's estimated 4 hours, maybe a little shorter, but like I would like a ceiling of 4 hours, yes, as in music wise. I don't want more than that. Act 1 right now is projected to be about 1 hour 20 minutes, but Act 3 is very short, so I'm not sure if it'll actually level, like go back to 3 hours and a half. I honestly don't know. We're not done, so. And I've had a massive delay this last year, like 2024, like 7 of the 12 months of 2024, I could not write anything because 4 of them were were dedicated to a family issue, and the rest, no, 3 of them, and the rest, the remaining 4, was because I got stuck in a text problem with Skull Kid, which is fixed, by the way. I just have to resume writing the music now. That's it. How many guitar solos will it have? None. No guitar solos because there's no guitar. Sorry to say, Mikao will not have his guitar, if that's what you meant. You know what? I am going to copy the questions from the text files. Straight up. Because that way I can copy the exact comments, and it won't be such a mess to adjust. Which means I need to make a new sheet. Or I just got to start down here. Insane. Okay. Pyro asks, do I have any preferences or ideas for talent that I would like to be part of the production, even a pie in the sky design for Persona Orchestra? You have, I think, Q&A number 11, I think, or no, 44. I think it's 44. Q&A 44, I think, has a list of, I put literally the fantasy football team equivalent of what I would like as singers. For each character, even if though some have already changed registers as time has gone on. I would have loved to have what's her name? She's French, and Nathalie Dessay. Nathalie Dessay is a fantastic coloratura soprano. She'd be great for Majora, as in for the character Majora. But I think she's now quite old. I'm not sure she'll be. I mean, she might, but there are better, or rather, there are more athletic, musically speaking, singing-wise, singers now, younger, who can absolutely tackle it. Like, I don't have to go for a fantasy football team. However, Juan Diego Flores for Cafe would have been fantastic. He's also getting older. I'm not sure he would. I'm not even sure if he's still singing. Like, as in properly, I think he's giving lessons now. He's a fantastic tenor leggero, which is what Cafe is, a light tenor that goes very high. Very agile. And I'd love that. As for a venue, any venue that's big enough, honestly, I don't care. Any venue big enough for a Wagnerian opera could stage this. Like, we have a 90-piece, I wrote 4, I don't have anything. I wrote for a 90-piece orchestra and like a 50-person choir plus soloists, huge sets. It's like, not huge sets. The idea is that you'd have 4 movable sets, 4 movable 2-story set pieces plus a larger one, but this 2-story is not really 2-story. It's like theater 2-story, which is like, much shorter. And you can make almost the entire opera with those 5 pieces. The idea is we have a suggestion of a set of sets that would not scare opera companies away. Yeah, I guess that's it. Sarah asks, is Callie annoying me with trollish questions? No, they are not. How he could improve. You're good. You're doing fine. You're doing just fine. If I see a question I don't want to answer, I will not answer. Okay, how about we just copy paste the questions from here? It's my work. This is like the whole line if I wanted to. Oh yes, fantastic. Okay, it's gonna go fast. let's start over. The thing is, I can now do copy paste quickly from the text files, which means I will be able to. These are these are the original comments that I used for questions. I should zoom in a little bit. These are the original comments that I used for questions, and because in the Q&As I rewrote them to make sense for the Q&A specifically. As in, I didn't change anything like vital. That's when I rewrote how they were, the exact wording. Now I'm just putting everything directly from the list of comments that I had accumulated. Q&As. It's funny how you can pick up on people's way of talking. This way, I'll have them all here, and I'll be able to start organizing them. Just 250 comments, you know, no big deal. Better just copy them all. In fact, it's fine. There's this multiple ways. Let's see. Some of these comments are really long. Yes, some of these are the same. I recognize some of these. In my opinion, what Nautilus asks, what would be the dream cast for Majora? Oh, it's what I said earlier to Pyro. I don't have a particular dream cast. You have Q&A 44 will show you a few examples of singers I'd love. But like, it's Natalie Dessay for Majora itself, Juan Diego Flores for Cafe. But there's a lot of people who sing really, really well. I don't have to go for people who are probably no longer singing. If they're very good at what they do and they fit the necessary range, that would be sufficient. They'll be like opera singers. When they're really good, they're really good. Let's see. Ah, yes, the question about Kipora Gibora. No, there is no Kipora Gibora. Will the seahorse be there? Not at all. So I'm repeating a few from last time, but I found a better way to organize these. The music other. Zelda's, yes. Will Sakon be a main character? Yes. Will Sakon Whispers? Who is actually coming? Oh, I never answered this one. Maybe I did. Calling Ryan Stimpy. Maybe something bad. Maybe something good. The big red candy-like button. All the demos be shadows behind the veil. Yes. Song of Healing better be in this. Yes, it is in this. What the hell is wrong with you? The question is this. How old is this question? Draft be finished. Well, the draft is finished. Oh, Jesus. It's a very long question. Good. Etc. Etc. Right. Moon sound effect. I did not include the moon sound effect. That's nice. Pretty common up to do it. Okay. Kafai. Oh yeah, the people. I remember the people complaining about the pronunciation of Kafai. The soprano was on a high register and she was opening the vowel. I would try to inform you that pronunciation is not the priority when you're singing opera. Some things sound a little bit strange when you go very high. If you want to project your voice, you absolutely need to change the vowel. Like no one projects a high U. Like U is not a thing. It becomes a large O, for example. E becomes sort of an A sound. Not A, like A, literally. And so cafe, this A sound, A opens up to sort of an A. So cafe, like that. Because otherwise you cannot project it. Like an opera singer is not meant to sing with a microphone. Like no microphones. You're supposed to sing over the entire orchestra. And that's what the opera houses are made for. And the opera is written to be done that way. Like no microphones. As in no microphone amplification for the singers relative to the orchestra. Of course, there's always venue balancing devices. There's basic like microphones to distribute the sound for the venue. But like there's no like let's amplify this singer to make sure they are heard over the orchestra. That's not how it works. It can be. Some modern composers, well, modern, 20th century, Adams, I forget his, John Adams maybe? I forget his first name. He's the guy who composed Nixon in China. And he's known for having very busy orchestrations. With singers in the middle range. And so when an orchestra is loud and busy and the singer is in the middle range, you cannot hear them. I learned that a lot. I made a lot of revisions to the opera when we recorded demos and realized, no, this doesn't work. Like a lot of the demos, the way they are, you would not hear the singers properly. Like I rewrote the way the singers, like the registers they're in, or I made the orchestra quieter when it has to be. So that the singers would be heard. Because literally that's not how it works. Like you cannot hear a soprano in her middle range if the entire brass section is belting. Oh, I mentioned Chekhov's gun here? Why? On your edge. Yeah, these are the Romani questions. Terrible sorry. There's no Romani. Ah, there it is, the scrapping of the question of the. Okay, I found the question I was looking for. Nautilus asks if we intend to make a piano reduction of the opera. For the vocal score, yes. We have a person who is working every time we finish an act or a large section. So it was a prologue. When we're done with Act 1, which should have been done this year, don't remind me. We send them to a collaborator who's very kind, who helping us doing that. They reduce this whole score to piano because vocal scores have to be piano reductions. Now, there's no way that the piano reduction will capture everything an orchestra can do, because at some points a lot of things happen. Like doing Majora's aria, you cannot play that on piano. It's impossible. It's up to the interpretation of the arranger. For the piano reduction, they'll grab the things that matter. I revise, and we go over that. But the idea is that the singers, to rehearse, they always get a piano reduction. Yes, absolutely. Now, whether that will be released, that's a whole other story. Like a release to the public is an entire other issue, because if this becomes an actual thing, then parts, like the parts and scores, the score is projected to be between 500 and 600 pages long. So scores of this size are not usually sold; they are rented, especially when the performances are happening for performances. Piano reductions, maybe. I'm not sure, but it'll exist for the purposes of rehearsals. Yes, absolutely. If you need my answer in Portuguese, if I wasn't clear, se precisa da minha resposta em português, diga. Não há problema. Tenho tempo e muito chá para beber. I plan to use the moon as a giant stage prop. Interesting question. Can't remember Kumin Kotake. The theme, we almost included the Kumin Kotake theme, not as part of Kumin Kotake themselves, because they're not in the opera, but something in Ikana would have made sense as a duet with the theme, but it ended up not being necessary, so I tried. That theme is not going to be there. Oh, that was the short answer question, the short answered Q&A. It's my favorite. Will Captain Kita and the Beavers make an appearance? No. Will we get a demo that has a salesman in it? No. Will there be interactions with Cafe and the Music Box residents? Most certainly. Will you be writing an overture? Yes, sir. Will we ever see that blooper footage you still have? Who knows? We lost some bloopers. Oh, no problem. No problem, Nautilus. That's fine. One of these questions is already wrong, because there is no longer a music box house. It is a nuisance to the logistics of the opera. But the music exists, so do the characters, and it's just that the music box house is not a music box house. It's a little machine on wheels. Because I changed a few things about Ikana. A few things about everything. Like at this point, the opera is fan fiction, honestly. But I don't change anything that I didn't feel had to be changed for the range of the opera. Like I said in the previous stream, the previous Q&A AMA, that early when I started this, it was between a large scale story where Cafe goes everywhere in Termina, almost everywhere, or it would be a smaller thing contained to 3 locations. If I had started like 5 or 7 years later, I would have done the B version, the version that's contained to smaller things, a few places, because it would have allowed me to explore the characters in depth properly, properly in depth. And I chose to be more dispersed, which works too. It's just different. It's just very different. But that dispersion automatically means that I needed to make a few adjustments to the point that a bunch of characters are not addressed. Two characters were fused, and other things, which turned out to be, ironically, by trying to get more of the game in, I had to make more changes. Because otherwise it would make no sense. Like the first draft was a disaster. Oh, a question in French. Nice. Okay, next file of questions. Are you going to ask a minor comedy in the opera? What kind of question is this? There's always comedy somewhere. My answer was, for some people, life's a tragedy. For others, it's a joke. It's a good answer. I'll keep it up. The last end. Oh, they mean final hours. Will final hours be included? Of course, final hours is there. Nautilus asks, in all these years working on Majora, would you say that there's a favorite part in all the work? Do you mean like a favorite section of the music or a favorite thing that I like to do? I have favorites, yes. I haven't orchestrated it yet, but I wrote already like the whole music of a storm storm at the end of Act 2. That one, I'm very proud of that number, and I can't wait to finally get to it in the audio revisions, the audio mock-up, because right now the audio mock-up is still at the end of Act 1. The libretto is practically over. We fixed the sculpting problem, so. And the engraving stopped behind the audio mockup, because the libretto informs the mockup, and the mockup informs the engraving, the actual engraving notation. Sadly, for the last 2 notation streams, I think we were just working on layout because I didn't have music ready. I'm going to start this week. Finally. Let's see, questions number 4. I also know that I think I have there's the ending of the Stockport Trio. Not well, the Observatory is good too, but I mean the code of that little tail end bit before they all sing together, the 3 of them, when they go to the finale very loudly. It's original music based on the game's music, and I was very happy with that as well, especially with the little revisions I gave the instrumental, which you have. I mentioned it in the last Q&A, I think, last AMA, last of these streams. I mean, it's that Cafe's Dream. I'm not happy yet. I started redoing it actually 2 years ago. Cafe's Dream in terms of orchestration, like to put as one of these instrumentals. I'm not quite pleased with it yet. Nothing's gonna change in terms of like those 8 minutes are still the same, but in terms of specifics of the orchestration, I'm not exactly 100% convinced. We had to make new numbers, so at this point, my answer will change. I had to that Lost Woods the use of the Lost Woods theme for the monkey, for example, tit for tat, the instrumental you have, is a completely new number, 1 minute long, but it's there. And I had planned to actually use this Lost Woods theme to be Skull Kids leitmotif. But it turned out not to be necessary that way. So it became just a general Woods theme. It relates to the monkey's enthusiasm after finding out that Cafe might be able to help his brother. A theme I didn't expect to use, which I will use, is the very introduction theme, which plays in the game when Link is walking into the woods, is riding into the woods with Epona. It gives me a sense. I think I played it in the last stream, didn't I? It was music. Does this come through? Hang on. Can you hear this? Oh, wait. If I can't hear this, you can't hear it either. What's going on here? Why is this not playing? What happened here? FL Studio hates me. 1 second. Let's try this again, shall we? There you go. Sorry, the piano's shit. I don't have a pedal, but it's the little keyboard I have here. I have an actual piano in the living room. Yeah. Oh, it's very, very tinny. I have a better sound here. Close room. Sparkle. Hang on. Ooh, too much sparkle. Warm piano beat. Ah, that's warmer. There you go. Stereo off. What do you mean? Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, this theme. Right? And then you have keeps going. How's it go? Yes. Oops. There you go. This little melody was not intended to be in the opera, but I found use for it when we fixed the skull kit problem. And that worked out very well. Hang on. Let me go back to music in the back. Yeah. Now Jules asks me if they say they don't know if I'm a superstitious person. I'm not. Not at all. Given the macabre sound, the macabre mood of Majora's Mask, has anything weird happened to me while I was working in the opera? No. I'm not that guy. I don't believe those kind of things, honestly. But it's been 13 years. A lot of things happened in my life. And I've written a few numbers while a few things were happening in my life, and there's influence for sure. But it's from me to the music, not the other way around. From me to the text as well. One of the family member was passing away, and I was writing a particular part of the opera that deals with death. Because the whole opera revolves to me about what Majora's Mask is about, which is grief, anxiety, and loneliness. And there's a few things about death, and I was healing, so I poured it out. And it works well. Once you refine it, of course. Let's see. Pyro asks, how am I doing? It also seems very exciting and exhausting at the same time. How am I holding up? I'm alright. It's been last year was difficult, but otherwise, I'm good. I have the luck of having a very supportive wife. And so, I've definitely burned out last year, more than once, not just last year. But I have the luck of being able to just sit back and like let my energy come back, my literally like my ability to work come back. But yeah, I'm good. I'm always tired. I've been tired since I was born. What is the demo I'm most proud of? Oh my god, they're all outdated by now. No longer a question. It's no longer a valid question. But in terms of actual how it was recorded, I'm incredibly proud of the very first version of the very first demo, the Council Fugue, the one where the singers were not operatic. Because we didn't know how to record properly yet. We're not separating the mics or takes. So we actually recorded all three singers at once. That demo sounds terrible. Absolutely. But given that it was 2 music students and a choir teacher just helping me out recording something in a room at the Music Academy in Lisbon, and it was just me and friend of mine, like with the microphone in the middle. They did the whole fugue. That's 3 minutes. The whole damn fugue. With only one note off. Like actually off. As in, there were of course a few intonation issues all over. But I mean like, only one note was actually like sung off. And that is impressive. Like 3 minutes, single take. It's the only demos like that. All the other demos are carefully... The singers are carefully recorded separately, and there's a bit of pitch correction because every single demo has had pitch correction. Like it's not like auto-tune. It's like if it's like a a few cents off, you just bump it up so it sounds good. Because when you're recording with digital instruments, which sound perfect, those imperfections come in like really, really strongly. When you have all the musicians in the same room playing and singing together, they adjust to what they're hearing. When you're recording them separately, that's not a thing. They're only hearing a MIDI, and so it is incredibly difficult to. It is impossible unless they are pitch perfect to assemble a recording of singers and digital instruments and maybe some added real instruments and not have to apply pitch corrections to make everything sound good. Because one thing is live, the other thing is recordings. Recordings, like you'll hear that over and over, and every little imperfection will come out. Like one thing is you remembering what you heard live once. The other thing is having it in front of you, and every single time having that mistake there, that doesn't work. I got lost. Hang on. Question 6. Oh, now I'm here. Those articles. Stone Tower of Babel, Immortal Childhood. Very good. Ironically, Composer Brothers. No. Oh, that question was already there. Who will feed the other giants? Whoops. Did I move the question away? Did I just skip it? Oh, Nautilus, that's fine, thank you. It happens, it's life. Was I trained in classical composition? Yes and no. A lot of these questions will not have to be re-answered. I'll make a selection. It's 250 questions. I'll be damned if I'm re-going over, like, actually writing answers to every single one. I just need to put them here first. And then do triage. Oh my god, this is a big question. About bells. We have 3 possible solutions for the bells. The bell. No, there's 2 bells. Sorry. It's F and D flat. And they are very low, which means they have to be very large. So real bells would be insane and expensive. However, you have these copper or no, bronze, I think, plates, which you can strike. They sound very much like bells. And the question is whether you have a dedicated percussionist inside the clock tower with a video feed to the conductor, or if you have a pedal for the conductor or for the percussionist to press when the bell is supposed to ring. All possibilities, as long as the bells ring at the right pitch, because most things, for example, Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, the bells, it's a G and a D, but they are an octave above the bells for Majora. The bells of the clock tower sound an octave below, and so with Berlioz, you can get away with the tubular bells. But you cannot get, so a tubular bell that would play the D flat that I need would be, I think, how tall? The guy was sick. He showed me. I had a talk with a makes bells, and he showed me it had to be a bell that was like this, a metal tube that would have to be this wide, I think 14 feet tall. It's not impossible. I have to confirm the number. It's 12 or 14, I forget. Maybe 12. Point is, it's not impossible. You can make those and you can hang them in the tower, and that works. You don't have to make an actual big bell-shaped bell, because no one's going to see the bells. They ring from inside the tower. That is a possibility, yes. If no bells are possible at all for some reason, I will begrudgingly accept bells, bell recordings being coming out of speakers, but those speakers better be calibrated perfectly, because I am not a fan of how flat a recorded sound sounds like compared to everything else in a real performance, which is also why I don't want amplification. It's why I wrote the opera to be sung without microphones. Because if you can hear that it's coming from a speaker, it's a completely different sound. And I've been to concerts where the whole orchestra was like coming out of speakers and it sounded like garbage, unless your tech team is like wizards, which most aren't, sorry. They sound like garbage. Absolutely not. Oops. The final result. Very. Got to give Andrew the pen of memories. Yes, he does. Hasn't changed. There it is. That's your question. What's my favorite part of the opera? We are down to 100. No, it's 100. Yeah, yes. So this is 101 is 100. 201 is 100. 101 is 1. 201 is 100. 301 is 200. 313 questions. Let's go. Don't some of your answers qualify as spoilers? Yes, they do. Not really. I don't care for spoilers until the middle of Act 3. That's why I will tell you nothing about anything from the middle of Act 3 onwards. Final hours orchestrated. Yes. Oh, I found a deep cut. Someone found the revision journal number 45 when the opera had a blog. That's old, man. Whoops. What game theme is Catherine Andrews' love theme? Come on. It's the theme that plays when they get married in the game. Amateur questions. All this is amateur questions. I'm joking. I'm being facetious. Stone Tower Temple. Any scenes from the game were going to be in the opera? Good question. Who would consider the most comedic character? Oh, the fisherman. What stage would he be conducting? Ah, you're kidding me. I'd love to conduct, but I don't trust myself to conduct properly. I'd rather be done properly. I am confident in my ability to compose, and that's it. Not performing, not conducting. I can conduct simple stuff. There's a few things here, like there's a fugue in 5/8. Salesman, and the thing is, every separate line, every separate voice in the fugue is a salesman's tirade, which you have it as an instrumental. Every single one of those. So a fugue is a bunch of independent lines. So if it's in 5/8, the where the strong beat is, like, will go everywhere because they're not aligned to a single grid. Like the theme, the subject of the fugue comes in at different points. So when the subject comes at different points in a 5/8, like in 5/8, it's impossible to align anything because it's an odd time signature. So we chose to notate that in 4/4. It's because the conductor can bring everybody together, and the performers follow the music as it is written, because it is otherwise it's a mess otherwise. It's written in 4/4, but it is definitely, the theme is in 5/8. How many musicians and singers have to be in the opera? Ah, that's updated. I can update that. Regarding these drunkards, are they drunk off normal milk? Ah, yes. I think it's just milk with alcohol in it. Red Sea instrumental is part of the opera. Yes, it is. Why did the opera in English? I mean, why not? 19. There's more than 250 questions. Holy shit, how many questions are there? If you succeed to make that opera the numbers of instruments, that's fine. Where I want this first performance. Not sure if a bunch of these questions are no longer valid. Or rather, they don't have real interesting questions. What's the percentage between sung pieces? Oh, right. Yeah, there's no percentage. I think I made a percentage actually for the Q&A, but it's skewed by now. The percentage of I'm being cryptic. I'm reading what I'm seeing in front of me instead of actually saying something. The percentage of numbers that are sung versus recitative versus dialogue. There are a few. Most of them are, of course, sung, but you have a lot of receipts and a little bit of dialogue here and there. In fact, I think the number I'm now working on will start straight up as dialogue and then go immediately to the song. Let me see. Illustration. On the prelude. This is the final version of the prelude. Yes. Different things. I recommend going to opera. These are important. And lyrics are stretched to fit the tune. Oh my god, someone complaining about melismas. Don't do this to me. I remember this one. The lyrics they said the lyrics were stretched to fit the tune of Pamela's Arietta. There is a problem with melismas, and I'm like, you don't notice melismas when they're well done. So yes, the very first version of Pamela's Arietta had bad writing, but it's not a problem with melismas. The problem melismas, by the way, if you don't know, is when a syllable is prolonged for more than one note. So Daddy wrote this song, so daddy, 2 syllables for da, wrote. There you go, that works. Which was a very good suggestion of the person who made the question, which we did implement. The problem is that a bunch of questions about melismas end up going like, oh, why is it not always like 1 syllable per note? I'm like, because it doesn't look like that. It is very anti-operatic to just have every single syllable be 1 note. Like it doesn't flow. God, this is going much faster than before. I'm right near the end. What notation software do I use to stream revisions? What software do I usually write it out in? Does speaking with fans during the streams motivate or help me? Yes, it does. If the opera ends up not getting permission to be staged, will it be possible to be a soundtrack? No idea. How many costumes do you think it will take for the full opera? A lot. We have 72 character drawings for starters, of which about 27 are just a town as part of the choir. They're not actually individual characters. Can't believe I'm almost done. Cool. Will the Elegy of Emptiness be appearing? Yes. Ish. It. I don't know what this question is about. I'll read in a second. Doesn't matter. When, why, that's fine. This is all ocarina music. No, I don't use ocarina music in the opera because that's Link's instrument. The giant. You have demo actors in mind. How could they learn against? I think I got that. That's already. Are there any cues when Indigo Go's music going to appear? Yes. Will Mikau be alive or dead? You might have to ask Dr. Schrödinger. The moon. Okay. So, I think. Whoops. That was not good. What did I do? Yes, okay, so I think that question's for Liam. Oh, the percussion. Ugh. I forgot this question about the Cafe's Dream percussion. DVD. Portrays calculate the later on strategy here. Oh, I think I put these questions already. What happens at the end of Majora? Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to know? The opera being chronological order. Yes, of course. What kind of question is that? Right. There's a question like yours. The amount of time for the opera. Am I Portuguese? Yes. Will Kappa turn into a child? No. Blah, 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 blah. That's none. Nautilus asked if the score will be made available when concluded. I did answer you actually, indirectly. I said that usually for a work this big, scores are, especially when they're being performed, or scores are rented for performances. Because it's huge. It's 500 to 600 page full score plus parts. You mentioned the piano reduction, and I said maybe a piano reduction would be something to distribute, but I don't have an idea. Currently, all that the guaranteed plan is the large tome, a very large book, which is working. It's a reference tome with everything. And it's a reference tome that has the full score, character arts, sets arts, a bunch of information, everything. It's supposed to be like a main Bible to be able to be followed with the opera. So whenever a character appears, there are pages with the art and everything else. It's chronologically ordered. with a bunch of notes, annotations, and everything else. That is a piece that by itself is expensive to print, like big hardcover thing, around 600 pages total, I would say. If the score is 500 pages, it's 600 pages because it's 100 more pages of illustrations and text. And if the score is 600 pages, that would be a 700-page tome because of the extras. It's about 100-ish pages of character stuff. Very big, like the American size. I think it's called enlarged tableau, which is 12 by 18 inches. I've already been in contact with printers because we have started the layout phase for the tome itself. We're going to use the prologue as a base material for that, to test the layout. And hang on, ADHD is striking. 1 second. And so you don't really sell those things, especially when something is being performed. If it's not going to be performed, I don't know what's going to happen with it. But if it does end up being performed, the regular thing is all those materials are rented, because that tome is a reference Bible, like it's a big book for everything required, but then separate materials exist as just a score, 600 or 500 pages, the parts separately, the libretto separately, the text, which is also a big stack of paper. In fact, probably half. What do I have here? This is single print. This is single print of the text only, libretto of the opera. Single print, single size. I mean, single side. So it will be half this thickness, but this one is not quite complete. So I would say a little bit more than half. I would suspect the libretto alone, so just text, would probably be either around this thick, or if we do something different, which is we put the technical indications on the left page and the actual, and to prevent the reading from being interrupted by technical indications, putting everything that you can read as if it was if you call it a screenplay or a play, without having to worry about the technical indications. Those would be on the right page. That means it would have the thickness of a single page print, basically. So it would be just about this thick, just the text. The music is another thing entirely. It would, of course, contains text, so that's a score. So the text would be for the stage director, of course, to have all the indications. The score will be for the conductor. And the text is made such that there is a little column on the side that every single line has a bar number, so that so that the director and the conductor can coordinate. A bar number. I don't know, Act 1, bar number 1253. This line, that action, that part in the score, so everything can be coordinated properly. And also a separate character book with the art only and the text lore or whatever about the characters and the sets, which would be for casting and for set design and costume design. Those are working materials. Would we release an art book? Possibly. It depends on what our artist wants to do and what she can work with. Score is harder, but a piano reduction, which is the fourth material for separate material from the tome, basically, which is usually made for rehearsing singers. That's not impossible to actually distribute before the work is rather, in case the work is staged and people would like to have a score of it separately. It's a bit too early to know. All I know for sure is that we are making the working materials. So the tome, which contains everything, and then the separate bits, separate things that are birthed from the tome, basically, which is the score by itself, the libretto by itself, the piano reduction, and the art book. So the art reference book for sets and costumes. Those materials are guaranteed to be made. Distributed is a whole other issue. It depends entirely on the future of the work. I know I'm going to print at least 3 or 4 tomes, because it would be 5 actually, because it would be 1 tome for the artist, 1 for me, 2, so 1 for my co-librettist, 1 for my co-engraver, my colleagues, my main 2 colleagues, Liam and Miguel. Katrin, the artist, would have her tome as well, and the 5th tome would be the showpiece, for such that I could actually go, when the work is pitched to Nintendo, I can bring the tome and have an extra one basically. But it's expensive. Like I think each one would cost me between $400 to $500 to print. No problem, like absolutely. To print and bind, like it's a book. So do the math. 5 of them is at most $2,500. So if I were to sell those, I would have to sell them at a profit. So I would sell them for no less than $700. So that's a lot of money. But if they're commissioned, I could sell them for less, $600 minimum. I don't know. It's not like, there's no way to know that for sure. Assuming they would cost me $500 to print, of course, and bind, because this is all out of pocket. Like, I don't have any investors. If the work goes to stage, that's different. Things become very differently. Diagram version in PDF. PDF is more likely, yes. Same problem, because it's not just a problem of distribution. It's a problem of whether the work is being performed or not. Like the official score for Wicked, for example, right now. Well, right now, no, now it's over. When it was on Broadway, was not out. Like, you'd have versions, you have arrangements, small, like little bits of the musical and song, etc. You would only have the full book if you were actually renting it to have an official performance. Same for Cats, same for any musical. When they stop being performed for the first time, then it happens that actual scores are sold. But those usually don't go for cheap. So PDF or not, like, it depends, because it is a lot of work into something. And if the work does effectively go nowhere in terms of staging, then yes, I'm open to selling. And a PDF version, of course, would be much cheaper. Still in the hundreds, but much cheaper, because there's I forget what there's an official score calculator which takes into account the work put in something plus the cost of whether it's a real print or a digital print. But also the issue is whether I have the rights to distribute it, even if it's my arrangement or not. Like, that's the whole other issue. So yeah. Have I finished the questions? I think I have. Oh, no, there were these. Missed these. All the voice distortion be done. So this to leave the old demos for listening. Let the clarity be included. Okay. Yeah. When score, yeah, Nautilus. When shows are being performed, usually they like to keep stuff to themselves. Even it depends. It depends. For example, there's a famous conductor called Leopold Stokowski, who's been dead for quite a while, and he was the one who made the arrangements of a few classical music pieces for Fantasia. And I'm dying to see his actual, like, the score of his arrangements, because his estate, even after he's passed away, his estate still only rents them for performances. So it depends on what they want to do with it. I'm not particularly, like, I'm not gonna hog the things forever, but I'm saying it depends on what's what is first what is customary, and also what happens and what is most beneficial to whether to have some sort of control over when or how something is performed when it is being performed for the first times, right? And but Stokowski, like, I want to hear, I absolutely want to have his version of Night on Bear Mountain from Fantasia, his arrangement, and it's still up for rent. Like, it's gonna become public domain in 2030 something, I think. I'm not sure, or 40. I don't even know. And I can't wait because he was a great arranger, and I wanted to know how the hell he did all those things. All right, now let's go over the questions that actually matter. I need to zoom out. Sorry, people. Okay. Let me see. Without link, will Andrew end up evacuating with the moon actually at the terminal? Will links need to be present? There's not visibly or visibly seen, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay, this is not new. This is not a new question, so this is irrelevant. Let's start marking these. I said cafe, yes, this is the old answer. I'm not replacing link with cafe. No, I'm not. Let's start marking the questions that not gonna change. How do I plan to show a counter without link? That is a good question to retread. Let's mark Ikana in yellow. People go to yes. Theater, it's fine. I don't need these. From the operas and movie touring, this is not. Okay. Important. Well, okay, cafe questions. Cafe questions will be purple. That's a bit too dark. There you go. Will Andrew and Cafe have multiple musical themes? I might want to retread this one. Let's say Cafe. Why is Cafe in swamps? That needs retreading. How old do I think Cafe is in the opera? That doesn't matter. It's been answered. Just a hunch, but why would I not this be the events before Majora's Mask? That's already been answered. Can I upload a longer version of the music? No. You see Pamela write a letter to Postman. Oh, I have to update the Postman. Let's say counters. Let's mark the counters as Let's make the counters. Let's make it kinda orange, in fact. It's a bit too bright. Let's make the tone. No, actually, it's the other way around. I'm stupid. Let's make it kinda yellow. And the towners orange. Okay. Will Majora be, it doesn't matter. Well, actually, I should specify the possibility of a sopranist. So Majora is bright pink. We'll do some way to incorporate time. The clock, yes. It's Cafe where the key to mass throughout the opera. Cafe question. Tattle and tail. I don't remember how I answered this, so I might answer it again. Let's make it a Skull Kid question. Because everything Majora and Skull Kid should be pink. Any aspects of the opera I wish to include if you're not be able to? Yes, I already have. Oh, maybe I should retread this actually to make it a general question. Make it gray. We're going to include most of the story. Same thing. Same thing. This has already been done. Including the ending. No, I'm not gonna talk about Romani again. Translation tips. No, anything about that's already been answered. How many demos? Well, I can revise that question now. Actually, general question. On demo 4, that's just Adobe After Effects. That's been done. Ah, I can yes. Which theme from the game I use? That's new. Fortress Prize gift. Oh, this also needs redoing. This counts as a cafe question. Am I going to use all 3 variants of Clocktown theme? A bit more than that. I can actually explore this properly as a question. Let's go. Will the main groups of Majora's Mask, Deku, Zora, and Gorons appear? Yes, and I forgot how I answered this, but I suspect that it needs a little bit more development. Stories about Majora's Mask events throughout the presence of Link and the Moon Children. That's an interesting question. It relates to Majora. I'm gonna put that one there. You're gonna make one about Eagles Wikana? Yes, I already answered that. Non-question. Encounter Eagles Wikana? Yes. I don't remember having seen anyone else about this yet. Ikana Castle. Ah, this one needs revising. Ikana Castle is yellow. Stone, Tower, and Temple. Yes. Question for the Q&A. What does Cafe take away from his meeting with a giant? Ah, that is new. Very new. Cafe question. Well, it's not a cafe question. It has become a skull kit question. Lacon's theme sounds a bit like a Middle Eastern themes. Yes. Oh, but it's going to be reused. Lacon questions. Blue. Come to Brazil. Well, no, it's one day. I've never been. I've been to many countries, not Brazil. I've been to, apart from Portugal and the USA where I live now, I've been to Spain, France to visit family, Ireland, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Mexico, and Austria. I'm not counting like places I've done like a layover, because I've done layovers in London, I've done layovers in Amsterdam, but and in Toronto. But when you don't get out of the airport, it doesn't really count. Deku Princess appear. Ah, this is a Deku question. Referring to Victor and Giant, are those bits that sound like Saria's song, the Skull Kid's leitmotif? Ooh, interesting. For a swamp question. In fact, the Giant should be a swamp question as well. Going back to work on lyrics and scores demos released now in future. Yes, of course. The demos are. The work on the opera is continuous. Why is Captain Weiss a girl? I've answered this already. I know this is not gonna deign this answer. This question with an answer. No. Oh my god, this is such a strange question. This may look how this question goes. This may seem so after people have already asked, why is Captain Weiss a girl? And then someone else in the demo, why is Captain Weiss played by a woman? Again, another question. This may seem weird because you've answered the question about Weissen being female before for contrasts. But did you just do it for the demo, or are you actually planning on casting a woman as Weissen in the actual play? If it's the latter, would you be willing to consider a male if the timbre of their voice and their range significantly differed from the person portraying Mucho? I'm like, what's the problem, dude? Like, yes, if there's a countertenor who does Weissen well, absolutely, it's a matter of range. But it is customary in opera to have young men being played by what's called a trouser role, by mezzos or sopranos. Mozart does that quite often. The most famous one is Cherubino from Così fan tutte or The Marriage of Figaro. I forget which one it is. But like, there you go. Weissen could be a countertenor, for example. Yes, I've answered this already anyway. The thing is, I would prefer that I specifically cast a salesman as a countertenor, because I would like his speaking voice to be different from his singing voice. That's very important. Will the sculptor figure that Kurt's Cafe be in this later on, or will just human-like characters be in this production? I regret to inform you that Skullkid is human-like. He has 2 arms, 2 legs. That counts. It breaks my immersion, says Pyroclasm. Yes, of course, your immersion in an opera where everything is over the top. Who was the guy? Was it Thomas Beecham or the other conductor, Sir Colin Davis, or somewhere else, who said in opera, an opera is when someone gets stabbed and instead of bleeding, they sing. That's a good way to put it. Like, it's an opera. It's already over the top. It's already strange by default. Like, people are singing. Like, it's a theatrical, like, performance, which I also would like to make look like, in terms of sets, a bit diorama-ish, which is already like, you know, not toy-like, but like, it's not meant to look like realistic or gritty. It's supposed to be colorful, like the game is. In fact, I know I'm gonna offend some people, but I prefer the 3DS colors. I know that Majora's Mask originally had that darkness to it, but the 3DS has that improvement to the color, and it doesn't make it any less dark, because I think it's weirder to have it be that colorful and still have those themes. Naturally on stage it'll be darker because of the nature of reality, but it'll be colorful still. Like, I would love to have a lot of color. Our concept artist still is sticking to the styles that. So we decided. I think I said that in the previous AMA, the one last month, where we were talking about whether they would be puppets or everyone would be people, and like there would be no, like I don't know, like if you have a giant, if it's a puppet, or if you have a Deku, the Deku are puppets. Like, no, I need to sing. And I don't want them to wear masks with pipes on their mouth so that you can, unidirectional singing is a terrible idea. So they are just based on different cultures, which they are already based off in the game in the first place, and that's why you see in the demo, not a demo, the instrumental, the ones I've been posting. I stopped in May, but the ones that have been posted, you have illustrations of characters, and you can tell the Deku King. Deku King is 100% like based on Mayan culture, for example. And their costumes will reflect the physical attributes of the characters. The Zora, for example, have a lot of a particular era of Japan. I forget the name. Our artist told me, and they have these. What would be the fins are in fact these knotted headpieces made of cloth, and the white makeup. They're all people. Everyone is a person. Everyone is essentially a human being, right? But they are costumed in a way that they evoke the characters from the game directly. This is number one, a practicality, logistical thing for singers, and number two, it's an interesting way to also make the opera to approach the themes that I wanted to approach when I decided to make the opera like about the whole of Termina instead of just the main cafe story and focusing on 3 locations only. It's that it's a portrait of a world like in collapse, basically, and the fact that cafe traveling to different places sees different people, like they are people still, different peoples. It's an easy way to visually translate that to an audience that doesn't know Zelda, because The opera is not made just for Zelda fans. Part of the efforts of the text are precisely to make what is important understandable to people who don't know Zelda. Like, it's meant to be understandable by everybody. Also, why Link is not there, because when your Link is gone, everything in Majora's Mask is self-contained. Like, there's no Ganondorf, there's no Zelda, there's no Link, there's no Triforce, that's gone. You just focus on those themes. So if it's self-contained, you can tell the whole story there. And so everything, so any extra efforts to make sure that aesthetically, if you will, it can be parsed as any other story, I think are beneficial to the production. Absolutely. It also looks good. I think the Zora are based on a specific era of Japan. The Deku are based on the Maya. Gorons are based on Nepal, I believe, Tibet. I think Darmani. I think there's a mix there. I think it's Tibet. I'm not sure if it's a mix. If we had to, because of the body size, we had to go for the stereotypical stereotypes. Stereotypes is a terrible way to put it, but like Samoan culture, you know. Darmani has a lot of that. There's only 2 Gorons in the opera anyway, because we don't get to Goron City at all. You see Darmani and you see Link Goro, the Goron that made it to Clocktown, and those 3, the Deku merchants, Link Goro and Toto, are basically ambassadors from their places. And there's actually a scene in Act 2 where the council assembles. So the mayor representing Clocktown, the Deku merchant as an ambassador from the Deku, Link Goro or Goro because Link is not there, but as an ambassador of the Goron, Toto as an ambassador of the Zora, and the missing seat from Ikana always. No one's there, of course, to decide whether Carnival goes ahead or not. A very important scene. And it's I think she did a fantastic job with the arts. And the Clocktowners are just based on like southern Mediterranean, maybe, I think. The village, the way the aesthetics, it's not exactly quite like the games. But everything's there the same. The houses are there, the clock tower is there, but there is an aesthetic shift, absolutely, yes. But everything is recognizable. Like, you can point at every character that is illustrated and you can tell who they are. That's what's important. Pyro says, bright dreamy colors contrasting a dark story is just good theming. Yes, I agree. 100% agree. Will the Skullkiller figure that Kurt's Cafe be in this later on, or will just human-like characters be in this production? Yeah, it's not a stupid question. Nope. That is fantastic. How do you plan to represent the Deku on stage? Oh, wait, it's what I just told you. So let's make that a answer. Will Kippura Gibora be showing up at all? Nope. I already said no. Quick question. Will the Seahorse be in the play? No. I already said no. Will the characters in Ikana be in this opera? Yes. Dampe used to not be in the opera, and now he is. And I will get to that. When I get to that. Who plays the background music? Is it actually instrumental? Oh, no. It's music. Do you make the music cover for this? Yes, I made music. Except I adapted Koji Kono's themes, obviously. I was wondering whether the opera would be composed entirely of music in Majora's Mask. A mix of Majora music and original pieces. Yes, that's what it is. That's not new. Any song from other Zeldas? Yes. A good question. Will Saikon be a main character? Yes, already answered that. Saikon is for someone's coming this way. That does not... Well, actually, it's not even part of the demo anymore. So that's a Saikon question. If I ever saw one. Boop. In the lyrics, a lot of words, the sh sound. Sibilance, no. I mean, yes and no, it doesn't matter. Did you get perfect take every time, or are there bloopers? There got bloopers, absolutely. Actually, this is a cool thing to reply to. Could you please put a link listed? No. This looks and sounds wonderful. Thank you. When you start this project, when you plan to finish it? Ah, yes. Way back when I had ideas when I planned to finish this. In fact, I should answer this. Will all demos be shadows behind the veil? Yes. Next question. Song of Healing better be in this. Yes, it is, and it's important to reply to. In fact, the salesman. This is a salesman question. This should be pink. Pink. Salesman. Oh, but it's the same. Salesman and interesting. I mix them. Let's make it bright. Do you have any plans for Cafe Contract with Salesman? Ah, that's a both question. Let's make that. Song of Healing. Have my salesman instead of Link to heal Pamela's father. Are you going to leave all the people healed by the song left out? Very good question. Now that we have a salesman to talk about it. It was really amazing, but the first time I watched this, the abrupt end of the video, blah blah blah, censored death. No, I already said no. But it matters that this no longer happens the way it was said to happen. You had to guess, when do you think the draft will be finished? It's finished. See ya. As an aspiring music student and Zelda fan, I believe I could learn a great deal. Thank you. Sending me scores. Oh, there you go. Someone asking for scores. And I said that I cannot. But I can answer that question with what I told you, Nautilus. I guess if you were in the Keaton's Mass Deku Guardian interest, I can tell if you are actually one of them. No. It's not a plot hole, it doesn't really matter. Animation is good, how you expect to take it at the stage? That's because it's not animated. The only thing I dislike about this is how long the intro is. Well, I don't like the intro. I'm not making music for you to like, I'm making music for me to like, and if you happen to like it, then we're good. How many people are in the choir in actuality? How many virtually? Ah! Good question, which we have already answered. I have the feeling that you might have made people sing multiple instances and mix it together. Good call. I love how I include the moon sound effect. I did not. Next question. Like the sound of the moon dropping down yet closer. Okay. It sounds very nice. It sounded nuts. Ah, yes. Someone wondering why a fugue is a mess. Because it is, it's a fugue. That's what a fugue is written like. In fact, do I use this as a possible answer? Yes. Yes, I will. Maybe for Clocktown. It's not cafe. Yes, I know. Bye. Oh, I love this one. I actually like the original version better. Good for you. I like both. So do I. Everything's getting a redux. Did Rolf play a big part in the story? Would anybody need to fight him, considering he's an evil force made by Majora, and is he the only boss to appear be mentioned? Good question. Now there's a few things to address about that. Will Kataki and Kuma appear in the play? No. I've never heard these kinds of accents before. Are they from Portugal? Regarding Cafe's Dream, opening music, it is not. Interesting. Cafe's Dream. Oh, that's actually a good question. Cafe question. That's not cafe. It's just cafe. What's the name of the metallic bongo-ish instrument that plays more than half the demo? Oh, it's the... yeah, it's not a bongo. It's Cafe's Dream. Wait. It is Cafe's Dream. Yeah, well. That's a whole other deal. Just gonna be dance. Just gonna be dance. Yes. Plans to cast Children in the Opera? Yes! That's new. The Bombers. Clocktown. I know someone has already asked about child singers. What about child dancers? The answer is the same. Well, it doesn't matter because I'll have answered before. MP3s the demos? No. Some of the craziest things your actors have used for their costumes? Yeah, we've said that before. Question that has been bugging me for a while. Keep forgetting to ask. You're currently writing for Great Bay. Written... Yes. Oh, it's about progress. Oh, the progress in the opera is a mess. Will I have... Oh, that's a good question. Will I have optional parts in the opera as well? Stuff that won't work on every stage, but with every cast will given certain opportunities. Yes. Because sadly, the postman had to be removed from the ending. And I love that. But it's possible to have the postman's singer perform very small numbers in the lobby. Will we get to see the Indigogos perform? Trick question, I see. Have you ever read this lengthy article, Stone Tower Babel? Yeah, okay. Curious, have you read this? Yeah. Tingle, in or out? Tingle is in as part of the choir. Next question. I was wondering, will Tingle... Yes, Tingle. Final Hours is in. The other masks will have play. Yes! Other masks will matter in the opera. Do you base the Skull Kids theme or whole Jupiter and Sari's song? What? Oh, I see why. No. Will the Great Fairies be in the opera at all? This deserves mention because they are referenced. She's referenced, but she doesn't appear. How will it end? How will it end? Great question. Too bad I'm not telling you. Yes, not telling you that either. I recorded the silhouette demos. This is just already answered. This is another question about whether everybody dies. I already answered the Romani problem. Romani. Yes. The new length matters. You mentioned Majora was originally in Latin. Yeah, that was nonsense. Surprises are good too. Yes, they are. No answer for that. Do you plan to use the moon as a giant stage prop that looms over the stage throughout the opera? Well. No answer for that because it's a secret. Why did Rose's sisters perform the Camaro's mass dance in demo number 7 if Link never came to Termina? Because I want them to. A good portion of the video used computer effects with assists. Yeah, not going to do that in the opera. Kotake and Kume. They are not there. 9th demo. Yes, it's out. No beavers, no Kita. Well, the salesman as a demo, maybe. This is a salesman question. Will there be interaction with... Oh, this is Majora. Hang on. Wrong color. Wrong color. Will there be interaction with Kafka and the Music Box residents? Interesting kind of question. The overture is written. Will I ever see that blooper footage you have? Some of it you already do. Instrumental of Majora's Aria. It's already out. In fact, that should be a Majora question. What are some operas which you have gained the most inspiration from? What are just some of your favorites? That's already been answered. Will I have a cameo? I'd love to be the Poe Collector. I would rock the Poe Collector. Especially because he doesn't sing. Majora's fight themes. That's a good question. It's a Majora question. Will the mini boss theme feature at any point? Also a good question. This doesn't matter. Majora is a mouthpiece for Skull Kid. Majora's a mouthpiece for Skull Kid in the opera. I'm noticing a lot of parallels in Majora's Aria to the canon history of Skull Kid's isolation. Is Majora's Aria a statement of the Skull Kid's angry thoughts, or is Majora intentionally playing Skull Kid's insecurities, or is it intentionally ambiguous? It's a great time to actually show you, when I start answering, the new lyrics to Majora's aria. How will Adolva be incorporated in the opera without Link? Very fearsomely. This actually quite matters. Which important characters do you have planned for each voice type? Oh boy. Yeah, I can update that. Are you thinking of doing operas for any other game besides Majora's Mask? Nope. Le fait que Skull Kid... Jesus, French. Le fait que Skull Kid danse au début, avant l'arrivée de Majora, est un choix délibéré ou parce que vous n'avez pas d'autre manière de le représenter sans qu'il soit immobile? Quoi? Oh, it was a question about the demo. How did I answer this? This is not important to answer. Are you gonna have some minor comedy in the opera? No, I'm serious business all the way. I don't know how to laugh. Can you release the fantastic background music from these Q&As as FLAC MP3 files? No. Yes, final hours in the opera. I said yes. How many Q&As will there be? As many as necessary. Since Cafe's not turned into a kid. Good question. That's a Cafe question. Do all operatic singers use that much vibrato? Most. Only because of singing. You got me there. Will we see much more of the postman in the opera? Not much more, sadly. That's a clock tower question to answer. What is the instrumental that plays at the beginning of the demo? What demo? Oh. It is... Is it me or is the mother a bit weaker in the bottom register than the last one? You are correct. We changed from a contralto to a mezzo, and it's not supposed to happen. Doesn't matter. Yeah. The Zoras don't seem really shocked by him being there. Yes. Portfolio. Yes. This is a good question to answer, yes. About whether the demos are portfolios. Yes, they are, but not these. They are already outdated. All these demos that you have, now out are completely, way outdated. I'll have to make a selection of things that I'll refine, and those will be the pitch materials. Good question. I mean, parts are looking forward to presenting. Some more nervous about unsmoothly creating. What was a pain in the room to figure out? This is worth answering. Pamela's Arietta, were you silhouette of her father? Yes, I was. Once the opera is done, will you release the scripts for each of the scenes somewhere, or how about the scripts for the demos? Well, it's what I told Nautilus, so... We're looking for members of your ideal orchestra. That's up to the house. That's up to the venue. I can re-answer this one. Will Andrew's granny stories with storytelling come into play? This is a great one. Yes. The bedtime story is in the opera, but it's not sung by Andrew's granny. Is Stengel in the opera? If he is, we'll give him a song. No, but he's in the opera. What happens at the end? I won't tell you. What percussion instruments? This is a great Bay temple. Okay. Why does the cafe make a sun mask? This is actually a good question to answer again. Oops, this is not supposed to be... This is an answer already. Will you portray Skull Kid as a villain adaptation or a tragic hero? That is a strange question, which I'm not going to answer. What is the demo you're most proud of? I think I answered that already. The longest dance sequence in the entire opera is Cafe's Dream. Yes, they are done. How many songs of right numbers do you think will be in the... Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one to retread. Do you have a set libretto or are you writing the music as you go along? And that was my mistake. Writing the music with the libretto at the same time was a disaster. And that's why it's been 13 years. We've been fixing that since 2022. Or 2021. Late 2021, I think. In fact, that's a very good question to answer. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Composer brothers in Ikana. That's a good question, which almost happened. In Ikana. Who will free the other three giants? Ah, well. I guess you won't have an answer to that. This is a question about me. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Where do you buy a Majora's Mask? That's a very good one. I can answer that because I got one. It's right there. Right there. The software gets the false attention from Nintendo. Blah 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 blah. Translate. I don't think they want to translate this. A good question to answer though. Yes. Actually, yes. That's a good question to answer as well. What instrument have you enjoyed working with the most? This doesn't matter. I learned about the hichiriki, a very cool Japanese instrument, which is what actually plays, not the bagpipes, which are being replaced completely. Will you associate events and characters only with certain musical pieces or tunes, or will you associate them with certain instruments too? I have answered this before. I can answer it better. Nintendo agrees on on stage. Will go worldwide. That's just not in my control, buddy. I might have to redo this question as well about the bells, which I answered earlier. Oh, I remember this one. Someone was upset that I had a swear word into what was considered a game for children, because Muto said in the demo, "Sod that damned moon." And they were complaining about damn, which is a tell because sod means fuck in English, in British English, but they were more concerned about damn. I have excellent news for them. There's one fuck in the opera. It is at a very, very high point of tension and anger. It is, of course, optionally removable, but it's written. It's there. And it does, I assure you, it does not detract from the drama one bit. That's a good one to answer because of that. Let's see. Once all this is said and done, would you consider making songs that were not applicable in the opera, like the Kotaken to... Okay, that's the same thing. Do you have any demo actors in mind you'd like to keep for the... doesn't matter. Please tell me if there's at least some form of heroic intervention, if it's not going to be there. Well, that is... not going to tell you. Number 5, Andrew's mother tells Andrew don't deserve a man like him. Interesting. Do I still have that line? She doesn't deserve a coward. She doesn't deserve a man from a noble family. Ah! No, it was meant as a coward. Reference to a coward, yes. Please. Oh, no, thank you. That's very nice. What are some of the VSTs used in the demos? I've already told you that. Any hints of what the ninth theme will entail? It was a solo quartet. That is a very good question to answer. It's a cafe question about how he leaves town. Dorozari, I'm hoping you guys redid the lyrics to this one. Yes, we have. How often is the writing process % updated? Oof. That's been over for a while. I don't remember reading about how will Andrew remain in Clocktown waiting for cafe since without Link's intervention he ends up in Romania Ranch. Blah 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 blah. Yes. Well, he does give her the pendant. I've answered that. I know Link. Well, I sell the score. Same question as Oculus. I know Link is definitely not showing up. Will the Fierce Deity, no Fierce Deity, Link, the Fierce Deity itself get referenced? No. There is no Fierce Deity. Yes. I want to know how it was ever considered in development. If it was ever considered. No, it was not considered. I think I said that before. Will Lulu appear in the opera where she can talk or no? No, I've already answered that. You can hear her voice, and that's it. Can you have my autograph? That's very nice. Do you need anyone for a role in last demo? Well, demos are done already. Will the Deku Butler's son turn into a tree or not? That's an interesting question. Will the moon have its face in the opera? Yes, that's already answered. Ooh, in the game after midnight, the final day, you hear the bell clock tower go off every 5 minutes. Is something like that's going to happen? Is something like that going to happen at the end of the opera as well, the third act? I think I've already answered that. Recitatives are fully composed. How different are the demos from the final results? Very. Extremely. Does Cafe give or send Andrew the pen of memories, or does it get left out? It is sent. I said that already. Favorite part of the opera? Several. In fact, I might revise this question. Why don't some of your answers qualify as spoilers? Because I don't think they are. Do you have any idea of what the final cast size will be? That's a good question to revise. How far have you come into the set costume design? Also a good question. Are we going to Fisherman's house? Does he have a window? Neither. He's outside. He's coming out from fishing. I don't even know if I answer this. It's not an important question. Will there be originals? They are already. They have final hours orchestrated. Yes. Yes, I should revise those instruments, in fact, for Majora's aria. Yes. In general, you mentioned a section of the opera that starts as a prologue and a prelude. I think I've answered this properly, but I should clarify as a salesman's question, actually. What game theme? That's when we get married. Where did your icon logo come from? I already answered that. Game version of the opera. Ooh. Scenes from the game originally in the opera. Yes, the Postman. This is a Clocktown question. Well, it'll be there. I don't have to mark this again. If I pitched the opera to Nintendo and they said I had to add Link to the story, no, I would not do it. Nope. Sorry. It means they misunderstood the whole point of the opera. The most comedic character in the opera? I think it's still the fisherman. Answer remains. If stage will I be conducting? No. This is the mechanical thing. Quotes at the start of Clocktown demo. Yes, this is just a bunch of things. How do you do that? That's a good question to revise. How many musicians and singers would have to be in the opera? Good to revise. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Is the Red Sea song going to be part of the opera? Is anyone going to sing in it? I forget It's both. No. Now they don't sing on it. This is something to revise, actually. Red Sea. So this is a Great Bay question. It can be a cafe question. Curious to why you decided to use opera in English. Yes, 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 yes. This is all the same. I promise I'm almost at the ending. Then I can finally organize the questions and start actually answering properly. English is quite a hard language to learn, is it? Looks like it is. Will cafe go inside its own tower? That's a question to revise. Because the answer is no. Yes. What do you say is the percentage between sung pieces, pure instrumental, atmospheric pieces, and pieces made for the dance of the opera? Yeah, I don't know the percentage exactly. Ah, this is a good question to revise. What makes it challenging to make the opera more inviting, appealing to people? Inviting or appealing? Oh my god! I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words. Inviting or appealing to people unfamiliar with the game. I'm gonna retry, which I already did a few minutes ago. Even hesitant to break. No. No, you said you want to use as many of the game's songs as you can. This might need to be revised as well. This is just okay. It's another prelude. Ah, this is a good one. What happened? What is shown in the beginning of the opera? Will there be a viola solo? Yes. Tingle being locked out. No, he does not. No, 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 no. Favorite section in each act of the opera so far? Ooh, too early to answer, but I can try. Ever tried to do about composing for any of the video games? No. Opera, I mean. Oh, composing for video games. Yes, I have. Oh my god. Okay, this is just a bunch of questions that are about software. This is all red. This stage. Will it be possible to have a soundtrack made? Interesting question. Will you say that content from any Zelda game apart from Majora's Mask has influenced any of the content within the opera? I've answered this differently. Actually, yes. Yes. How many costumes do you think we'll take for the full opera? Have you thought about composing for Kick It? Well, have you thought about advancing on Kick It? How many costumes do you think it'll take for the full opera? Many, 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 many more. I think it's never been changed. It's quite the same. New demos soon. Longest number in Majora time-wise. It used to be the Giant's Lament, and now I don't know. Number with densest orchestration. Oh, I know that one. I absolutely know that one. Song Sharp plays it in the opera, yes, but no longer that way. Will the Elegy of Emptiness be in the opera? Yes, it will, but no longer that way. Why does Majora say tag you rather than tag I made? Because, well, they no longer say that, in fact. So that is a good Majora question. Yes. There's no longer a Giant's Lament, so boom. Do you by any chance need Ocarina players for these demos? There's no Ocarina. But I already answered that. I don't know what this is referring to. Incorporated in. 2 dancers. Oh my god. Any kids from Diego's music on the fear? Yes. But this is already the themes. I think they'll already be there. Will Mikao be alive or dead? Well, both. The moon, how will we get such a huge thing on stage? Same thing, same question. Percussion, instruments, phrases, hollow clanging sound. Okay. Online DVD. Sun mask. Actually, the cafe question does matter. Cafe question does matter. This matters. Will he portray Skulky as a villain in the adaptation or as a tragic hero? Interesting question. What happens at the end? Wouldn't you like to know? Chronological order. Yes, of course it's in chronological order. New length of the opera. Am I Portuguese? Yes, it hasn't changed. This is not the opera on stage. Plans to include more masks beside Majora's cafes. Yes. Yes, I will. More masks. I think I already have that marked, but so it's not a she, it's an it. Well, Cafe is a good friend, the curiosity shop man, the future. Oof. Yeah. That's important. Majora's Skulky more is a secondary antagonist in comparison to Psychonom's Peace. You say they're a true antagonist. This doesn't really change. Something I've already been asked. Will Cafe confront Majora along with his journey since he's on his world? Well, that's interesting. That is a Majora. It's a Cafe question. Cafe's not a hero, blah blah blah. Yes, this doesn't matter. How will the voice translations majority be handled in the opera? Same way as I've answered before. The Great Fairy be included. I already mentioned. That is the best question to have, in fact. 7 o'clock town choir. Will there be any original characters? No. Original characters. No. What the hell? Okay. Now that we've organized this, or rather that we've marked them, we have to organize. Let's grab, for example, all the Ikana questions first. This. Oops. No. Here. 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 Okay. These are the kind of. Oh my god, it doesn't copy. Are you joking? Are you shitting me? What do you mean it doesn't copy? Yes, it does. Oh, I screwed up. Sorry about that. Let's make sure that the key is pressed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I've copied this. It should. There we go. Alright, it kind of questions to revise. Those are the ones. Then we have what? We have cafe questions. Several. Cool. There we go. Cafe questions. Then we have postman. Clock town questions. Clock town. Clock town. Clock town. Town. Clock town. Clock town. Let's copy and paste. Clock town questions. Majora questions. These are easy to spot. They are very pink. Majora questions. Then we have general opera questions. Gray. Several of these. Several of these. Pyroclasm says, still upset about Errata AMA being cut, even though I agree with your reason for doing it. Yes, rest assured, if it's any consolation, it's the reason that I lost 4 months of work, because it certainly brought up a bunch of other problems. The fact that they had to be removed. That information had to be conveyed some other way. It was distributed, actually, among 3 different numbers, instead of being one single number. Which, ironically, together might still be shorter than the whole number. I'm not sure about that, but just about. Right, we have these. I know, Cal. It's fine. Oh. Excuse me. Thank you. My wife is in the other room. She says bless you whenever I sneeze. And vice versa. Or rather, Lost Woods questions. Swamp Woods questions. But Skull Kid, this one should be a Majora. Yeah. Delete this. I tell you, that's a very good Futurama reference. Cal says, tell your wife I said hello. Sakon questions. Only 3. Hell yeah. What else are we missing? Red, yellow, purple, orange, pink. I think we're missing the salesman questions. Yes, these. That should be about it. Oh yeah, okay. Salesman questions. Now that they are here, we're going to do triage. Okay, this is about how to show Ikana. This is Ikana Castle. So this is basically... let's insert a bunch of rows. The actually kind of questions are... I don't have to add it. I'm being a dumb... Stone Tower Temple, my favorite theme. How it will implement it in the opera. Ooh. Other characters being a kind of in yes. Interaction, cafe, and music box. Are you referring to include a couple of brothers? Cafe, good, okay, good. So these are Stone Tower questions. This is about the place. I can already zoom in already. This is about the place. This is about characters. Cafe and the music box residents. Well, this might be a cafe question, in fact. This is a places question. These are character questions. This is where the cafe goes in Stone Tower. It's also a cafe question. And this is a Stone Tower Temple question about the music. There. So there are only effectively 5 kind of questions that I can probably fuse into a few fewer. So why does cafe leave town? Do Andrew and cafe multiple musical themes? Why is cafe in the swamps, basically? Ah, that should be a swamps question. That should be a swamps question. Does cafe where the kingdom's master of the opera? Yes. Will there be lyrics? The Fortress of Pirates? Ooh. Is that really a cafe question? It is. It is. Cafe's not turned to a kid. Majora's skull could actually have an impact on Cafe's backstory. This is actually a Majora question. Sorry. You gotta think about the kidnapping. It's not so. It's the same thing. What's first cafe to act earlier? It's actually this. So the themes. Is the Red Sea song going to be part of the opera? They're going to sing it. Sun Mask. Confront Majora. Right. Did I make it a Majora question? Yes, I did. Same thing. Same question. Okay. Cafe Music Box, Resident Cafe, Stone Tower. Why doesn't Cafe make it a Sun Mask? Red Sea. Red Sea should be part of a new category, which is Bay questions. Boom. Which also should bring the fortress to the Bay questions as well. Was I? That's here. Cafe to make a sun mask. Oh, same exact question. What the hell? Will there be interaction with Cafe and the music box? Etc. Cafe that's stuff. Oh, thank you, Pyro. I'll let her know. It says my wife's singing is very lovely. I agree. Clock Town. Let's see the postman. Okay, who's using all 3 variants of Clock Town theme? How to write a fugue? Yeah, well. Postman. Yeah, the postman probably just removable from the general questions. Majora, Talent Tail. lyrics. Okay. Jeez. A lot of questions. Let's go over these properly, one by one, and then I'll close the stream. Then I will tidy this up better into a video. But I have to organize the categories. So general questions first, and then we go to cafe, the woods. Yeah, I can name this. Giants Limit, whatever I said. General. What did I... Okay, weird. Alright. Now, properly answering the questions, off the top of my head, of course. Are there any aspects of the opera you wish to include, but fear I might not be able to? So, I've said it before, I would have loved to have Romani Ranch in the opera. But also, I was sad to have to cut the Composer Brothers. And I'm surprised that Granny's story actually might get in. In fact, it's guaranteed to be in. But it won't be Granny telling it. That's the difference. That's probably it, really. Are you going to include most of the story, like the aliens, the pirates, the creep replicas that follow you around? So it's in line with the same with the previous question. The story is like changed, not as in like fundamentally, but as you know, we follow Cafe. So if you follow Cafe, things are different. But I have ever since this question has been answered, I have realized that for things to work properly, I've had to make more changes than I thought. They are more about how characters are than what specifically happens, because what specifically happens, a lot of things are different. Many things are different. But I tried to stay faithful to what the characters seem to be to me. We developed Cafe a lot as a character, like really a lot. We picked up on things that made sense. Cafe, the son of the mayor, so noble, only child. And the last entry in his diary is him showing off the sun mask to people at the bar. But no one ever in the game ever mentions being Cafe's friend, right? The only person who is a childhood friend of Cafe's is the curiosity shop man. We will get to him in a second. So it appears to me that Cafe is a bit of a sheltered character with an exaggerated idea of his abilities. It also appears to me that if he doesn't have many friends, when he shows off the mask at the bar, it seems to me to be a sort of like, look at me, I'll buy you all around. And that's basically the premise that we went with to justify why he lost the sun mask, because in the game, as you know, Skulkin turns into a kid. I do not want to have a child actor, singer for the rest of the opera as the main character. Forget that. So he remains an adult. So what would make an adult helpless? Many things. But he went to the bar. That's the last thing he did. He went to the bar. So he got drunk. And he drank alone. Why? Because he doesn't have many friends. Or any friends. And he, buy people around. Because, you're the Cafe, our boy. Everybody else might say. But in truth, it's more like, Cafe is the guy who buys people around. He's not exactly like friend of someone. And the reason also we explored that is because a lot of the things in the opera revolve around the questions of the Moon Children. And the first Moon Children's question is, who are your friends? Do they think of you as a friend? that is like a pillar of the first act alone, and the beginning of the second. And we thought that's perfect. That's an interesting way to figure Cafe out, to have him basically realize how alone he actually is, which again is another theme of the opera. So the story revolves around this core first and foremost. It's the mortal arc, if you will. It's the things happening to the people, right? To the mortals. And then the other part of the story is the cosmic arc, which is the salesman looking for Majora's Mask, knowing that Skull Kid stole it, and looking for Skull Kid. That's also a bit different because, in the game, salesman just waits for you to get it for him, but there's no link here. So the salesman is actively looking for it. And there are effectively... there's a very important conversation between the salesman and Majora in Act 2, which I will not get deeply into. If you caught a few of the libretto streams, you might have seen a few lines from that. I wonder how many demos going to release. That is already old, but the idea here, what I wanted to add is that when the entire thing is finished, the audio mock-up, the libretto, not necessarily the engraving, I want to grab a few numbers and make demos out of them, like new demos entirely. Not actually, they will go on YouTube because, why not? But the purpose is not for YouTube. The purpose is for them to be showpieces for the pitch to Nintendo. And they might not all align with the other 9. I might not redo a few of the other 9. I don't know yet which ones they'll be, because it'll depend entirely on what is possible when we get to that juncture, which is years from now. Next question. Are you going to include all the songs from the Majora's Mask soundtrack, or are you going to have to skip a few? If Link's not there, songs like Zelda Lullaby and Song of Time probably wouldn't make sense to include. Correct. I think this was mostly the same answer as before. But as I said before, I did not expect to use the intro music, not the one with the logo, the one where Link is walking in the woods, riding Epona in the woods. It turns out it's very useful for Skull Kid specifically. It's a very lonely theme. And am I going to include other songs? What was the other one? It is very likely that the middle boss theme might actually have no place in the opera. I'm not entirely sure yet. I was going to use it for something in Act 2, but now it's become a bit flimsy. Kotake and Kume's theme as well, not showing up. Romani Ranch, obviously not. But I've made an effort to include almost everything, even if it doesn't mean that they have their own number. Some pieces, some tracks, some themes only appear as a reference. In fact, when Cafe tries to bribe the monkey to lead him out of the woods, or the swamps, they're interchangeable in the opera, the Celesta plays the very first da 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 da, which, if I'm not mistaken, is probably in a short. I'm not sure if it's there. If it's in a short that I put, instrumental that I put on YouTube. The shop theme is otherwise not there. I use it because it's a little Easter egg. It's like you're trying to bribe someone, you're buying them off, basically. It's just played there. The harmony is completely different. It's just little details. So if some themes exist only as little nods, they don't even exist as numbers at all. Next, will the main groups of Majora's Mask, the Deku, the Zora, and the Goras appear? Yes, the Deku are in full force. The Zora are only Mikau, and a few generic Zora that exists in Cafe's Dream, which is itself a black light, UV light, whatever you call it, mostly UV light number. It's a suggestion, rather. It's an imagery of the bay when it lights up, and you see them with actual lights, not just UV light. They're dancers. They're not going to be characters. They're just an imagery. It's just imagery that exists in Cafe's mind when he's dreaming about the bay. And the Gorons, as I said before, Darmani and Link Goro. Nobody else. Oh, sorry, the Zora Toto, of course. As I said before, I'll retread it. The Deku Merchant, Toto, and Link Goro are ambassadors from their respective lands. And there is a meeting in Act 2 about whether Carnival goes ahead with the mayor, those three, and the empty seat from Ikana. Next question. Do I plan on going back to work? All the lyrics, any of the lyrics and scores, the demos released now in the future? Yes, that's what's going on right now. It's what's going to be going on for the next couple of years, because I mean, the text is already all redone, with a few adjustments to be made to 2 or 3 numbers after the Skull Kid thing is the Giants thing is fixed. But yes, that's all this is. These 13 years I've been doing nothing but adjustments, revisions, etc. Most of them, at least. Any songs from other Zelda games gonna make it in there? Maybe like in between set changes or something, you could have the Warp song from Ocarina. Depressing ones. No. So that's something I wanted to specify. There will be no music from other Zelda games at all, unless it is quoted in Majora's Mask, which does happen. The Zora in the game, if you remember, the drummer, the bassist, Japas, I think is the bassist name, and Evan, the keyboarder, I forget the name of the drummer, they play music from, I believe, Link to the Past and Zelda 1. And those themes will exist. I think, in fact, one of them will be a main theme for a number. I can't specify why. I can't specify what it is. Rather, it's a number that you've seen me write on the libretto stream. It's not a spoilery number, but I will not tell you what the music is for that number, because it makes sense with what theme it is. How to explain this without spoiling anything? It makes sense with what theme it is, that it would be used at that juncture, or what it means in the game it comes from. There, that's all I can say. When did I start this project? Do I have any rough idea when I plan to finish it? Yes, no, that's the answer. As in, started on December 8th, 2011, as you know, and I'm here to announce that there is no official attempt estimate at when it's done, because every single time I try that, I'm always wrong. So, it's done when it's done. Deal with it. Will you have optional parts on the opera? Yes, that's what I was going to get to with the Postman. If possible, considering we don't have the time or the space for the Postman in the opera. As it stands, I was open to it until the very end of the revisions, but as it stands, the Postman will be a tangent that makes no sense except for interacting with Anju. The thing is, if the first time you see the Postman is in Act 1, you can then, in the break between Act 1 and 2, have a little number with the Postman in the lobby of the venue. Like an interaction with people or something like that, because he's a postman. He gives out letters. He can even give out programs. It can be many things. It can be done in a very fun way. Because effectively, there are 2 things that I had in the original opera, which sadly became like clutter, which was in Act 2, the postman delivering a letter to himself, and in Act 3, of course, reading it to himself. and I'd love to have those as intermezzo, not intermezzos, but numbers outside of the stage in the break. If there are intermezzos, that would work too. But considering how Act 2 opens with the Carpenters in front of a lowered curtain already, that's already considered intermezzo, as in intermezzo is like the thing in the middle. So if you already have a number of the Carpenters, a number for the Carpenters at that point, it's a bit strange to have the Postman there as well. What can happen is have the Postman be the intermezzo for Act 3. That's not impossible. Will the other masks have any play on the opera? Let me count. Cafe has the Keaton mask. Salesman is looking for Majora's mask, which is on Skull Kid's face. Nakon wears the All Night mask. That was a impromptu decision by our concept artist when she drew him, and I said, that makes sense, first of all, stay up all night, and it looks good. So until it is off his face, at somewhere in Act 1, I think, yes, this all night mask will be in the opera. A bunch of masks will be in the opera for other reasons. Because Carnival is a thing, right? So there will be masks, even if just decorations on the walls, and some of them might be masks from the game. It's fine. They're mostly ornamental. There are also masks on the salesman's backpack, and we picked a few of them to be our favorites. My favorite is a Mask of Truth, is on there. The favorite of Catherine is another reference to another Zelda game, which is Ravio's little bunny. Instead of bunny hood, basically it's a bunny hood, but it's purple with Ravio's design. The eyes and the teeth from Link Between Worlds. And there was a favorite from my wife's favorite, the Bremen mask as well. That one will be on the salesman's backpack. They're all ornamental. I'm assuming, of course, this question means, will there be relevant masks in the opera, like that have a use? So as far as the use goes, there is a number, which it was the first instrumental I posted, the second, not counting the salesman's tirade, of new music, like of revised instrumentals. You know it is the video with the yellow picture, the Keaton pantomime. The troupe, so both the jugglers and the dancers, are doing a little play on the little scaffold. The scaffold is much lower. It's a little platform, a little stage. For the kids, the bombers, and then the people start coming in, the carpenters start coming in, and everything else, and they are actually making a mockery of the rumors about Cafe being missing, and they make a little story about in rhyme about this very it's a way to describe Cafe's reputation in town, which what I mentioned before about Cafe being a specific type of person. So they tread over that in a little story. They mention how he was foolish to just show off the mask and everything else, and to punish him, the fairy came and took the mask away. In fact, it's such a simple number that I can probably even show you the lyrics. Once it decides to load. Basically what this means is that the troupe would be wearing so instead of the masks, like, because they're very hard to have, like, actual just masks on your face, they would have masks on sticks, like a stick like that, and then the mask on the tip. So they would just you hold a stick like that, and you have the mask in front of your face. Because they have to switch quickly between the masks, so they have to be something that they can put on their belt and then take out another one and put in front of their faces. It's called the Keaton pantomime, and I'll be glad to read it for you. Let me see. I can put it on the screen too. WriterDuet. There we are. Yeah, so come New Year's Day, Golden Sun and Silver Moon get married, and the bombers reply, married, right? So that the reply. It's a back and forth between the audience. Newlyweds to be blessed by a giant into Larry's. Bride and groom made silver and gold, carved in masks both priceless and bold. Come and hear of the boy who, I'm told, lost his wedding mask in the cold. Filled with pride, he showed it off and started making merry. But that fateful night, the boy was punished by a fairy. 1, 2, 3, 4 drinks at the bar, 5 steps out the door, didn't go far. 6 hours later, poked by the guard, woke up, no mask, under the stars. Now what? And then the crowd starts wondering if they're talking about the mayor's son, etc. They say he got cold feet, I heard he found a girl ran away, etc. All these little rumors, etc. Now, children, the fairy took the wedding mask because that young man wasn't ready to become a proper husband. Though he really wanted to try, the fairy thought him a cowardly fry. Now the day of the wedding was nigh, but not all was lost. Do you know why? Keaton! And so Keaton mask shows up as a prop. Who springs forthwith on the double when there's trouble? Keaton. Keaton becomes like a sort of a Pikachu come save the day kind of thing for the kids. Whose tales pull you out of rubble when you struggle? Keaton, etc. Have no fear, he said in his stride. I'll steal it back and love will abide. But 'twas no fairy, this mask was alive, full of spirit, of passion and drive. Said if you promise to grow up and strive, I'll return to you and your bride to be married. So there's a bunch of things happening here at the same time, obviously. The idea, all I meant to say is that as you can count, in fact, I think I have them written here. Where is it? Yes, the preparation is here. The troupe prepare cheap masks on sticks to be held over their faces as they play roles, divided as follows. Livius, the blue juggler, holds masks of Cafe and the sun. Marilla, the blue dancer, Rose's sister, of Anju and the moon. Judo, the red dancer, of Keaton and the guards. Rufus, the red juggler, of a fairy. And all 4 keep a spare mask of a giant, so you automatically have a bunch of little masks on sticks just for this number, because they have to alternate when they sing about these characters to show the scenes. So the answer to that question is several masks, but these are all little knockoffs of masks, specifically because this Keaton mask is the mask that Cafe eventually gets. He goes into, after this whole thing happens, you have the council fugue right there and on the left, and the numbers here, and the Cafe's plight is number 5, and that's the number where he comes down from the rooftops while he's looking into the plaza with a hood cloak, and he goes to the plaza, rifling through the props, desperate to find anything about his own mask, and when Judo comes out of the inn saying, hey, what are you doing? That's ours. He, what do you call it? Not desperation. In surprise, just grabs the first thing he can, puts it on his face. That's the Keaton mask. And he keeps it because of the tenor of the conversation that he has with Judo. It turns out that she finds the mask to be more fitting for him than, thematically speaking, that he wants to be the hero. He wants to get the sun mask back, and she finds it to be, when he tries to give her the mask back, she says, no, keep it. It's a better likeness. And that little line is very important. Like, there's a bunch of things around the opera that rely on specific meanings for specific things. It becomes apparent that Cafe clings to that mask for most of the opera, and it becomes a symbol of the type of person he would want to be. Which, if you think about it, then contrasting with the mask he's looking for, the sun mask, one thing is a hero for children, the other thing, a fictional hero, the other thing is an actual husband. And all those themes come to play. In more ways than one, if you will. Aren't you scared your opera will be too long and I'll have to scrap some pieces? That perfectly ties up with what I was going to say, what I was just said. The opera is built with such an amount of meticulously like interlocking pieces that I would hope that it would be obvious that even though it's 4 hours long, I think, well, maybe we're lucky, 3 hours and a half, maybe still. I would hope it would be obvious that removing stuff from what's already been chopped as much as possible, even though it's large, would only detract from it. Like every single number has a function. And when you remove one, a bunch of stuff falls apart. So I'd hope that no post final opera scrapping would have to be made. Sorry. Which important characters do I have planned for each voice type? That is harder to answer right now because I don't have all the characters in mind. I'm going to skip this one. But no, hang on. I don't have to skip this one. Hang on. I know exactly what to do. Do you want better? All right, here we go. Cafe, tenor leggero, so light tenor. Andrew, soprano, lyric soprano. Happy Mass Salesman, countertenor. Skull Kid, a dancer, not a singer. Majora, a coloratura, dramatic coloratura soprano, which means a very powerful, very agile voice that can go very, very high, very, very loud, with a lot of crazy agility. Muto, I am not sure anymore if he's just a bass. He might be a bass baritone. I'm not sure. Bison is written to be a mezzo, 100%. Andrew's mother, written to be a contralto, 100%. The mayor is a tenor, a basic lyric tenor. A bit of a heavier voice than Cafe, obviously. Professor Shikashi, the astronomer, is, I think he's written to be a baritone. The postman is a typical lyric tenor. Let me see who else. The Deku Princess is a coloratura soprano as well. Needs agility. Does not have to be as powerful as Majora, but still agility. The monkey is a coloratura mezzo. Needs agility, but is lower range. Deku King is a baritone. Used to be a bass. He is now a proper baritone. Powerful baritone, but still a baritone. Odolfo is a dancer on stilts. Sakon is a baritone, and I have to get to his number because I've written low G's for him and the ideal baritone voice for him, and the ideal range, rather, the typical range of the ideal baritone voice for him is not exactly the type that would have G as its lowest note. And A might work. I might have to lift the entire Sakon's arietta one tone. I'll figure that out because he does not benefit from being that low. He is important that he has a baritone voice, but he has a light voice. The Gorman troupe are... Oh, actually, yes. The troupe is... Because of the Keaton pantomime, they don't have to be very, very operatic voices, except for one of the twins, one of the Rhoda sisters. But I would say 2 mezzos and 2 tenors, 100%, yes. The jugglers and the sisters and the jugglers, respectively. Guru Guru is just a hardy-gurdy player. Let me see. Well, I don't count the Deku Butler as an important character. He has one line, exactly, sung. And he's a tenor, works fine. Now the Giant is interesting. The Giant is not a singer at all. A Giant is 3 trombones and a tuba in unison and octaves. And what he says appears on screen, syllable by syllable. Because I thought a bass does not convey the power of a giant, nor does it convey that idea that the giant is speaking in a tongue that no one understands, right? The audience needs to understand. But The only character who understands the giant is Skull Kid. And the number that we have replacing the Giant's Lament is a conversation between the Skull Kid and the giant. Now, you might have wondered, I just said Skull Kid doesn't sing. Correct, because when Skull Kid sings, you hear the voice, as in the dancer mimes the action. The voice is always coming from Majora. Majora is always somewhere on stage in the darkness. You hear their voice and you will always hear it somewhat disembodied. And Skull Kid is the one acting it out. So whenever Skull Kid speaks, sings basically, it's Majora's voice, never Skull Kid's voice. So they have to always be in sync. Which with music is easy because, conducting the whole thing's on a score. You do, if a dancer can follow music, they can follow a singer. It's the same thing. So the giant is effectively not a singer, or brass instruments in unison and octaves. Let me see. I still don't know the range of the ambassadors because they did not used to be ambassadors. The Deco Merchants, the Link Goro, and Toto. I haven't gotten there in the audio mockup yet. It's near the end of Act 2. I suspect that they would be all around tenors and baritones. Nothing too fancy. Mikao is a tenor, lyric tenor, proper tenor. Darmani is a bass, strong bass. The Fisherman is a baritone. Avail, the Pirate Queen, is, if not a contralto, a mezzo, but a strong mezzo, like a dark timbred mezzo. Who else? The Bombers are trebles, and the other voice type that I forget. There are 5. I think it's 3 trebles and 2. There's another name for a slightly lower child's voice, and I forget what it is. Luckily, they always sing as a group because I do not like child soloists. I'm sorry. The 6th bomber, the one who guards the entry, which I decided to call him Raz. He is, because I follow the Invader Zim logic. If the first bomber is called Jim, 3-letter name. Okay, we don't care about the other guys, but we should name the 6th one. So I'm calling him Raz. Short for Raziel, which means in Hebrew, Guardian of Secrets, which is what he does. He doesn't guard a tunnel, he guards a little safety ladder. Imagine those New York ladders, on the side of the milk bar. That's how Cafe gets out. Cafe leaves and comes back into town in secret with the help of that boy. Let me see, who else? Egos. Egos is a basso profundo, octavist, like the guys who go really low. The guys who can, the Russian choir basses, those guys. That's the only way Egos comes out properly. The Pearl Collector does not speak or sing, and when his voice is heard, it is doubled by Egos' singer. Who else? Pamela. Pamela, one of 2 things. Either Pamela is a very young soubrette, so like a teen, or she's a little girl and it has to be a very good treble, because that's the exception to my rule about treble singers. About child singers. And you can find a very good singer, but she has to be a tremendously good actress, otherwise the scene will fall flat very easily. Who else is important? The Carpenters are 2 tenors, 1 baritone, and 1 bass, I think. Who else? We're missing characters. Dampe. Dampe is either a baritone, probably a baritone. Probably a baritone. I haven't got to him yet. I think I've named everybody. Have I forgotten anybody? Tell me if I've forgotten a character. There. That's the answer. That's the question answered. I keep mentioning putting together a portfolio, we need to do shadowboxing and stuff. Oh, I said it already. It's the demos need to be a portfolio for a pitch. Yes. If the opera takes off and makes it stage, will I put on YouTube for a time? Will it bring out to other countries? That depends entirely on the venue. I have no control over that. I would love to have it in as much as in many places as possible. So far, what parts am I looking most forward to presenting, and which I'm more nervous about? What went most smoothly in creating? What was a pain in the rump to figure out? That's the update. The pain in the rump to figure out was exactly what's happening. What happened for the last 4 months was removing the Giant's Lament and replacing it with 3 separate numbers that would distribute that information better than a big 10-minute exposition block. That's terrible. That's just, ugh, disaster. It worked out. We fixed it. When adapting a video game into another medium, what are some certain things, storytelling-wise, you would say should be considered? Consider the fact that it's not interactive, so you cannot be dispersed. Vital important thing. Do not disperse the audience. And I already do a lot the way I'm doing it now, but it's much less in the game. Like, follow threads of narrative, otherwise it's impossible. This whole thing about Skull Kid and a Giant, we had to consider the fact that we could not have the audience juggle, an audience that possibly did not know anything about Zelda or Majora's Mask. They could not juggle a bunch of new information all the time at the same time. It's not something you can just double check as a quest or a journal. It's an opera. You're watching something that is taking place as a beginning, middle, and end, like it goes on. And there's a few things you have to remember. There's so many characters already. So we found a way to lock and set the story of Skull Kid and Giants as easily as possible by the near end of Act 1. By dividing that big 10-minute exposition, which is a bore, into 3 numbers, but not letting things, not letting any details become unclear. Like, there's one interaction between Skull Kid and Cafe. There is then an interaction between Skull Kid and the Giant, an interaction between Skull Kid and Majora, Majora's aria, and then a story, the granny story, told to the Bombers, possibly by Anju. I have to determine that. And those things all need to make absolutely clear what the deal is with Skull Kid and Giants, such that that's closed. Because what the bedtime story, the bedtime story says, is only up to the point where Skull Kid left Termina when the Giants banished him. It doesn't say the rest. That's why it was difficult to figure out a good, well done, not forced way to tell the story of what happened afterwards. So the story is actually told in reverse. There's an inkling of Skull Kid is by himself with Cafe. There is then this very upset, very angry confrontation between Skull Kid and the Giant, where their dealings are brought about, but their current situation is explained in some way, is described. There is Majora, consoling Skull Kid because, everybody left, so I'm your friend. It's Majora's aria, basically. And then you get the bedtime story, which tells you what is the background for this entire thing. And so by doing it in reverse, there's always this interrogation. Okay, I know this, but what about that? And then you show, and then a new number comes in. Okay, now I know more, but what about that? And by the end of Act 1, Skull Kid and the Giant are completely, explained. And there's no need to explain anything else about them for the rest of the opera. Which probably was the victory of last year, which is managing the way to do that in a way that wasn't just a giant talking for 10 minutes, doing exposition. I find that to be weak storytelling. Just having a guy remember this, remember that for 10 full minutes. No, please. Don't do this to me. It's much stronger if it's characters talking and you piece out the information by what they say. It's much more interesting, at least to me. How many numbers are in the final show? I can tell you exactly. There are 74. There's 72 counted. On purpose. 72. 72 hours, basically. They don't match the hours, but they're 72 numbers. I say 74 because there's a prelude, which is the opening, and there's a number 0. The prelude and number 0 are part of the prologue. Act 1 goes from number 1 to 20 some. Act 2 has the most. Act 3 has the remainder. So you end up with 72 numbers counted plus 0 and 72 numbers numbered, I mean, plus 0 and the prelude. Do I have a set libretto, or am I writing this with the music as I go along? The reason that I've been probably lost 5 or 6 years going around doing pointless revisions was because I was writing the music with the text. Never do that. Because every time we had to change the text, the music had to be changed. And that was a disaster. So my recommendation, if you're ever trying to write something very big, put down the text. Just do the text. Forget the music. Have ideas of the music and the text, yes, but don't start making the music, the draft, the whole thing, the orchestration, without having a fixed text. The reason this is going smoothly now, apart from the last 7 months because of issues, the reason we've been on a roll actually since 2022, like straight up, the 3-level revision process, is because those 3 levels are libretto first, audio mock-up, follow as according to the libretto to what's finalized, the text basically, and then the engraving onto the score of what the audio mock-up has determined to be final. That's why the instrumentals that I've been posting on YouTube are all final, because it is a how do I explain this? It is a neat way to make sure that what is written down stays fixed. We approve of the text is done, text is set in stone. You can change, tweak a word here or there, that's not a problem. I swear I spent at least half of these 13 years going around very foolishly trying to have a text correction and then redo the music again, and then correct again, redo the music, and that never ends because you end up in a spiral, in a cycle of eternal corrections. You have to look at the text and say, this looks good. The first time I looked at the libretto for Majora and I thought the text was good was I think it was Christmas 2022, if you can believe it. If not 2021, I forget. First time I looked at that and I said, that's good. I've never been happy with the text of the opera, except for a few details, of course, but a few little moments that are good. But like as a whole, it was always trash to me. And I thought, oh, I'll fix it later. Never do that. That's the problem. The I'll fix it later becomes a ball of yarn that you cannot unravel. Where do you buy a Majora's Mask? I got this one at a con. Pretty sure a lot of people make very nice sculptures that you can sell, that you can buy, sorry. I kind of already answered this. Have I found a newfound love for any instrument I didn't have before? Yes, the hichiriki. It is part of the gagaku music tradition of Japan, and it is exactly that little nasal sound that plays when Majora's theme comes in the game. That is a hichiriki, literally, because they even use the percussion of the gagaku music, which is the bending gongs. Well, I'm wrong. The bending gongs specifically are Chinese music. Don't make that mistake. But the gagaku music has very similar cymbal-like, very isolated cymbal-like metallic percussion. Thing is, for some reason, the devs of Majora's Mask decided to use clearly what is the hichiriki and not bagpipes. I used to have bagpipes score for the opera. They're gone. Bagpipes are gone. It is a hichiriki, which makes much more sense. I recommend listening to that instrument. It's very, very special. Will I associate events and characters with only certain musical pieces or tunes, or will I associate them with certain instruments too? I have to... That takes a bit longer to answer. This is a repeat question from before. How will the bell be... Oh, I said it already. I can retry that later. It was when I mentioned the 12 tall tubular bell inside the clock tower. That later. I also mentioned the swear word already. There is one fuck in the opera. Will I sell the score? I explained that to Nautilus already. How different are the demos from the final result? Very different. What's my favorite part of the opera? Several, but I think I'm very partial to the fugue at the end of Act 2. Don't some of my answers qualify as spoilers? I decide whether spoiler is or not, so no. Do I have an idea what the final cast size would be? The cast? I would say the cast. So if you don't count the choir, 50 people, I would say 23 soloists, just about. That's the soloists, singers, of course. Then you have the troupe. We can up that to 30, maybe, possibly. Plus 50 people in the choir, plus an orchestra of 90. You end up easily with 200 people, like the whole thing, like the orchestra, the choir, the singers, the dancers, everything. That's easily 200 people, or close to. How far have you come in terms of set and costume design? The sets are not designed yet. They are placed. Rather, the idea of how they would be moving and what would be used is defined. What isn't designed is the actual looks of them. Obviously, they're going to be based on the game. The costume designs are almost all done except for the Garo Master, which I will not go into detail about. Oh, that's the other character I missed. Ooh. The Garo Master is not voiced by a single singer. That's all I'll say. How do I gather the resolve, focus, and motivation to do work on a single thing for so long? Because I need to. I want to see this done. I don't care. Even if it doesn't go to stage, I want to finish it and move on. I already answered this one. I already answered this one as well. The challenging aspects of making the story appealing to people who don't know Zelda. We mentioned the costumes and everything and other details. I want to use as many of the game's songs as I can. Yes, I answered this already. The prelude at the beginning of the opera that appears is actually that has no longer been the case for a while. The video that still is online, the little scrolling text, the scrolling parchment of the story. I actually want to use Skull Kid's scribbles. Skull Kid's been around since the beginning of the world. So it would be very interesting to have the prelude be the music is just music. There's nothing happening on stage. There's a projection of Skull Kid drawing the events that the prelude is describing. Because those scribbles are going to be everywhere in the opera. They're very important. They mark his presence where he's been. And they're in every single set. Skull Kid's been there. You can see a scribble somewhere, either in stone, in paint, in wood. He's been everywhere. What's my favorite section in each act of the opera so far? My favorite section of Act 1 is probably the Swamp Quartet, if not the Stockpot Trio. My favorite section of Act 2 is the Storm, which I think is an octet with double quartet mixed in. I don't know what it is. It's a lot of things. Huge thing. It's the last number of Act 2. My favorite section of Act 3. Ooh. Might be the ending. I'm not sure. Not sure. If the opera ends up not getting permission to be staged, will it be possible to have a soundtrack made? I cannot answer that properly. I don't know what I would do immediately. I have to think about it. Would you say the content from any Zelda game apart from Majora's Mask has influenced any of the content within the opera? No. Only Ravio's mask on the salesman's backpack because our concept artist likes it. Just wondering what the longest number in Majora is time-wise. It used to be a Giant's Lament. Now, it might be the Storm at the end of Act 2. Not sure entirely. What's the number of the densest orchestration? That would be the Storm at the end of Act 2. The song that Sharp plays in the game, is it in the opera? I think I'm going to use it. I used it in the draft, but the draft has been completely redone. So that number is gone, but I think the music will be used somewhere. Same for the Elegy of Emptiness. I think I know where to put it. Any cues from the Indiegogo's music? The Ballad of the Windfish exists. It's part of Mikhail's number, in fact. Not the Link's Awakening version, the one from Majora's Mask. I've mentioned the opera will be around 3 hours, 4 now. Will there be breaks for the audience? Yes, between the acts, absolutely. Will I include more masks besides Majora's and Cafes? This is a repeat question. Majora is going to be a character in the opera. Are you going to make something up regarding her origins, or is she just going to be the character in Skull Kid's mind as urging him to do what? To cause misery upon the inhabitants of Termina? Majora, in my view, is an it. And origins of Majora itself, I don't think so. But there is information about the salesman and how he got Majora's Mask. Yes, absolutely. Not Majora itself, but the mask, yes. And I think it's midnight, and I will have to cover the rest in part 3. So, I will be going. Thank you for sticking around. I will be collating, of course, all these questions into a proper video, but I have to finish going through them all, then go over these streams. Take notes and actually make a video about it. So there you go. Thank you for coming, and there will be more notation streams soon, and I'll have time somewhere in this month to do part 3 of this one and finish the questions. Bye bye. Thanks for coming.